Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this little fabric notebook. I showed this in my last update video and a lot of people said they would want to see a video on it, so it's just a little notebook covered with fabric, and these are good for like throwing in your bag or your purse for like shopping lists and stuff. That's what I thought of like when I came up with this. That's what I would use it for. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these, and it's pretty easy. All you need is some plain computer paper. You can use colored paper too if you want for the inside, or scrapbook paper if you want pattern paper on the inside, some fusible interfacing, and a scrap of fabric, depending on how big you want your notebook. The finished size of this notebook is 3.5 by 4.5, so of course you can change the size depending on what you want your notebook to be. You're also going to need scissors, a ruler, a bone folder, or a butter knife or something, just something to like crease your paper really well, pins, a sewing machine, and for cutting the paper I suggest using a cutting mat like this and an X-Acto knife. That way you can cut all your paper at once. It's easier than scissors and you get cleaner lines and all that, or you can just use scissors if that's all you have, that works too. And this is optional, but you can use ribbon like I have on this one to tie it closed, and then any other embellishments that you may want to put on the front. So now that you have everything together, let's get started. So first what you need to do is take your interfacing. This is just like a medium weight fusible interfacing. It'll just help keep the cover of your notebook a little more sturdy. And you need to cut this 7 inches long by 4.5 inches tall. So I have that cut, and then you need to take your fabric, which I already have cut here, and you need to cut that 8 inches long by 4.5 inches wide. So ½ an inch bigger all around once you fuse this to your fabric, which I have done. So you can see kind of I have like a rough ½ inch border all the way around where the interfacing ends. So that's that for now. I'm just going to set that aside. And next what you need to do is cut your paper. So I'm just going to bring in my cutting mat. I already have my paper cut, just to save time. So this is just plain white computer paper, and then this is just plain, like it's still computer paper, it's just colored, so I have purple here. You can get computer paper in tons of different colors at any like office supply store or even craft store. So for this notebook I have 10 pages, and I've just alternated purple and white, as you can kind of see, and these need to be cut at 4 inches wide by 6 inches long. So when you fold them in half, they're going to fit nicely into your notebook. So now what I need to do next is fold these in half, and I need to do them one by one. So I'm just going to take my ruler, and I'm just going to line it up on my cutting mat so I can find the center point. And I'm just going to lay my ruler down on the center point. I'm going to take my butter knife, and I'm going to use the back of it right here. I'm going to use that to score along the center line. So just like that. And then I'm going to fold this over on the ruler just to make sure it's straight. Take the ruler out, and I'm going to use the handle part of the butter knife as a bone folder, just to make sure that my paper is creased really well. So let me have that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that with the rest of my 9 sheets here, and then I'll show you what to do next. Alright, so here's all my pages folded in half, as you can see. So I'm just going to set those aside for now. And next what you need to do is take some kind of thicker paper. It doesn't have to be, but I think it helps add to the structure of the cover. And this is what is going to be like the inside cover of your book almost. So this is just some scrapbook paper. It's a little bit thicker, and it's just a dark purple color. And you need to cut this 6.5 inches long by 4 inches tall. So I've got that, and I'm just going to do the same thing, scoring down the middle and folding it in half. Alright, so now I have this. It's my inside cover piece. I'm just going to set that aside as well. And I'm going to bring back in my cover piece, the piece of fabric that has interfacing. And all I'm going to do is fold the fabric right along where the interfacing is. I'm just going to fold that in and pin it. I'm just doing this on like one pin in the center of each side for now, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, so it's like this now, and now I'm going to show you how to do the corners. So you want the corners, like this inside piece eventually will be sewn on here to cover the seam, like the raw edges of the fabric. So we want the corner to be just as nice. So I'm going to have it kind of open like this. I'm going to fold the point in diagonally towards the center like that, and then I'm just going to fold this edge back up like that, and I'm just going to pin this here. And then I'm going to do the same on the short edge, and I'm just going to put a pin in the corner there. So I hope you can kind of see that. It's just folded over itself nicely, so I'm going to do that with the other corners as well. Okay, so all my corners are folded in and everything's pinned nicely, so this is going to be the cover. And now I'm just going to bring back in my inside cover piece, the thick kind of cardstock paper. And basically all you're going to do is place that in the center and try to line it up so there's an even border of fabric around it, like that, and this paper is just going to cover the seam. So I don't glue this down or anything, I just kind of try to position it where I think it looks good, and then I'll just start sewing here and take out the pins from underneath the paper. I don't want to pin through the paper because it's going to leave like little holes, so I just try and hold it there and take the pins out one by one and sew, all the way around until I get back to the center. So I'm going to do that really quick and I'll be right back. Alright, so I just sewed around the entire thing, so it looks like this, and you can see it just cleans up the edges of the fabric and hides all the frayed edges and everything, and it makes the inside of your book look nice so you're not just seeing interfacing. And I forgot to mention, when you're sewing this seam, you need to sew really, really close to the edge of the paper because you want to catch the edge of the fabric in that line. So if you stitch down here, your fabric is only folded to about there, so you won't catch it and it'll come out. So try to sew as close to the edge of the paper as you can. Alright, now we're going to set that aside for a minute and bring back in all my little folded pieces of paper. And what I need to do with these, I want to alternate them purple and white, and you want to lay one flat and put another one inside of it like that, and just keep going until all your pages are one inside the next. Okay, so here's all my pages, one inside the next, as you can see. And you just want to, do this, make sure they're all lined up pretty well, and then fold it in half. And you can see that the inside pages stick out a little further than the very front one, just because the thickness of the amount of pages I have here. But you can trim that if you want with an X-Acto knife and a ruler, but it's not that important for me, so I'm just going to leave it. So I'm just going to open that up to the very top page, and I'm going to bring this back in, and I'm just going to line up the center fold with the fold of the inside cover page. So you should have approximately the same amount of paper, inside cover paper on either side. So all I'm going to do here is sew a straight seam right down the middle of that fold through all these layers. So I'm going to do that really quick and I'll be right back. So after sewing that seam, you should have something like this, like that, and all your pages are now bound in the book. And before I do anything else, I'm just going to take some ribbon. This is just really, really thin ribbon. I'm just going to cut a piece. It doesn't matter how long, just long enough if you want this to tie around the notebook and tie in a bow. So I'm just going to flip my notebook over. I'm going to lay this across the back in the center, and then I'm just going to stitch and backstitch right over that ribbon a couple times just to attach it, and then I'll be right back. So after you've sewn your ribbon on, it should be like this. It's just anchored down in the center on the back there. You just want to flip it over, close it up and give it a really good crease along the spine just to make sure everything stays the way it should be, and then just tie up your ribbon. And your mini notebook is done. So your little notebook should look something like this. Open it up, and there's all your pages, and that's it. So I hope this video was helpful to some of you guys, and I hope this makes your grocery shopping or shopping of any kind more easy and fun, that you have a nice little colorful fabric notebook to write your lists in. So thanks everyone for watching. Bye.